Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Pilot Money Guys podcast, where our mission is to help clients build and protect wealth to achieve their dreams and goals. This podcast is brought to you by Leading Edge Financial Planning. Without further ado, here is your host, Robert Eklund.
All right. Hey, folks, welcome to Flight 18. We're talking kids and money today. A tip of the cap to you. Thank you for joining us here at the Pilot Money Guys podcast, where we cover some airline news, except for today, and of course, a financial topic. We aim to educate and bring some lighthearted financial fun to your day. I'm your host, Rob Eklund. I'm a little under the weather, so the Godfather, Charlie Mattingly, certified financial planner and Leading Edge founder, is with us. Hello, Godfather.
Hello. How's it going? I'm sorry you're feeling badly, but you all were trying to keep me down last time. I was feeling bad, so this time it's your turn.
Yeah.
We kicked you while you were down, too.
That's right.
Yeah. That's how you win fights.
And he's also rocking a mustache for anyone on the YouTube.
Which really,
you got to do the YouTube.
which really makes my teeth look huge.
Looks great. Yeah. No.
It does.
I'm a dentist. Yeah. That's nice. I've, of course, a little shout out to Alaska, the Aurora Borealis. That's my background.
Yeah.
And Ben's got the Max.
gosh.
You got the Max in your background, don't
I do have the Max.
Yeah. The good
What
old.
does this button do,
That was
by
the
the
good
way?
old days, wasn't it?
Oh, that's the ejection button. Don't hit that.
Don't hit. Oh,
Touch
okay.
that. Yeah. Excellent. Oh, and of course, we've got Mr. Cowbell, Ben Dickinson. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. Did you introduce yourself as Mallet today?
I didn't today. You know,
yeah.
my wife calls me the Viking.
Viking.
Idiot. Any of those I will answer.
We can
to.
substitute, and I mean, I'm starting to
Caveman.
like Mallet a little bit. I think it sounds kind of cool. If you just absolutely reject that notion, we will start again. But
You can't.
But I like it because
can't.
you started off as the MC Hammer, which was a little too much, too strong. But you are the MC
Yeah,
and you
little
are
too
a
strong.
hammer. But then you said, "Hey, let's soften that a bit." So we went to Rubber Mallet. Rubber Mallet's too many syllables and too many
Yes.
words.
Yes. Well, it reflects my days as an evaluator.
I got it. Yep.
MC Hammer.
Yep, MC Hammer. So, I mean, I don't know. Mallet is really starting to sound pretty good, just as long as we keep the story from straying too far from
That's true. That's
know,
true.
the 10%.
We got to make sure we have
10% rule.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, we're going to talk some aviation news. I've got this one, I think. We've got this day in history. Actually, it wasn't from today, but it's from 2 days ago. Close enough. On October 12, 1944, First Lieutenant Charles Elwood Yeager of the Air Corps, Army of the United States, shot down five BF-109s in one sortie,
Wow.
becoming an ace in a day. That's air quotes there, ace in a day. The term ace in a day is used to designate a pilot who shot down 5 or more airplanes in a single day, based on the usual definition of an ace as one with 5 or more aerial victories, right?
Wow. One day.
That's incredible, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Yep.
Was it just best, right place, right time, or?
Oh man!
How do
So
you
I've
shoot down
got
5 in one day?
I've got his whole quote because it's worthy.
Wow.
All right.
He was a P-51 Mustang fighter pilot, assigned to the 363rd Fighter Squadron near the village of I might be butchering this, but Theberton, Suffolk, England. Theberton.
Nailed
Sounds
it.
pretty good.
Sound
That's
right?
pretty good as far as I know.
Anyways, here's Yeager's quote. It was almost comic, scoring 2 quick victories without firing a shot. By now, all the airplanes in the sky had dropped their wing tanks and were spinning and diving in a wild, wide-open dogfight. I guess 2 of them collided.
Oh,
He started
wow.
shooting at them. I blew up a 109 from 600 yards, my 3rd victory. So he shot at one of them, and he hit his wingman, and they both ejected.
my gosh.
So that was
Wow.
2. So he didn't. So I guess he barely had to do anything.
2 for 1.
2 for 1. And then when I turned to see another angling in behind me, man, I pulled back the throttle so bleep hard, I nearly stalled, rolled up and over, came in behind and under him, kicking right rudder and simultaneously firing. I was
Wow.
directly underneath the guy, less than 50 feet, and I opened up the 109 as if it were a can of Spam.
Less than 50 feet.
Man.
50 feet. That made 4.
That's
A
incredible.
moment later, I waxed the guy's fanny in a steep dive. I pulled up at about 1,000 feet. He went straight into the ground. Crazy.
Wow.
Fanny
That day-
waxing.
October 12th, 1944. Woo! Top
That really is awesome.
Top that, cowbell.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
I mean, I've done some cool stuff with my drone, but
Yeah.
nothing,
That's amazing.
I mean, Chuck would be proud, but I can't beat that. You're right.
Oh, man. That's a good one. All right.
Wow.
Any other things we want to talk about?
Nothing going on at all in the world of aviation.
Nothing going
No.
on. Nothing to see here.
Nope.
Turn
All right.
away from anything you see in the
let's,
news,
Yes.
vaccinations, airlines.
Ooh.
We're going to stay lighthearted today, folks, because there's a lot of serious stuff going on. And I told Rob today, look, we got to have some humor. How else can you get through these times without some humor?
Gotta laugh.
You got to laugh
Yeah.
about it. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. So that's what we're doing.
Yep.
We're not going to address those things today. Too many variables, too many unknowns, and a little too hurtful still. So we'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
Good call.
Too soon.
Good call. All right. Well, let's get into our financial topic then. This one, actually, I'm really excited about. It's kids and money. And how do you talk to your kids about money? What are some things to think about? We're going to cover the mentality you should use, how they should use money when they first get started at a young age, the savings and investing they should do, 3 different ways you can choose to save with them. And, of course, in that, we're going to talk about UTMAs and Roths. And we'll get into that. Charlie, what do you got? Anything?
Oh.
Right off the bat, we're talking mentality.
Oh, we got tons of stuff. The toughest
Yeah.
part about today is keeping it succinct and meaningful. We're going to try to give some real practical applications to kids and money, just stuff we've learned from other people that we know. Clients have taught us a lot of things they do with their kids. Ben is the one that remembers it the most clearly, I think, right? And
Yes.
so he can help us a little bit. It's been a while for you and I, Rob, especially me. But I do remember a lot. Now, in fact, the first thing that I remember or sticks in my brain and helped me get a good start and overcome some of my other follies down the road was just starting early. And I'm going to share with you guys
Ooh, yes.
and our YouTube audience as well. But
Check it
the
out.
power of starting
YouTube.com.
early is unbelievable. Okay, so here we go. And we'll talk to this graphic, but again, our podcast listeners, go to YouTube, check this out, or Google it. It's everywhere. So here's an example in the power of starting now. And Ben, you and I the other day were talking to one of our clients' sons. He just is getting started in the workforce. He's got a great job.
That's right.
And he's like, hey, he called us up, which is awesome. We encourage all of our clients' kids to call us. We love to talk about it. He was actually 25. So we said, this is perfect. This is you. So if you start saving at 25, and in this example on the screen, you start saving at 25, you save $10,000 a year. I don't know the rate of return in this particular example. I think it's 5, 6, or 7. Doesn't matter because it kind of cancels out. The point is still the same in the examples anyway. So this person started saving at 25, $10,000 a year. They invested it and they stopped saving at age 40. Now at age 65, they had a little over $1 million. Now this person's friend, we'll call him Ben Dickinson, started saving at 35. And they saved all the way. They did not, they started at 35 instead of 25. They saved all the way through 65. And they only ended up with 840,000 versus the over $1 million. So let me reiterate. Ben's friend saved at age 25 for 15 years and stopped. They had $1 million. Ben saved from 35 to 65, 30 years, and it has 840,000. I mean, it's
that hurts. That really hurts seeing that.
Yeah.
I knew my friend was doing well, but I didn't realize that well.
Yeah.
He saved half as much as me.
Yes.
That really was wild.
All right. Rob, what do you think?
Beautiful.
Any thoughts on
I
that?
love it.
It's powerful.
I think it can kind of tie into, just the power of saving early, which there's a mentality on that. And I think we should get in a little bit of that. I think when you talk to your kids about money, you should have an abundance mentality. And instead of using certain language, like we can't afford that when you go to the store and you're looking to buy a toy or whatever, it's, I think, a little bit more helpful to say we haven't budgeted for that at this time. Or how are we going to afford that? How are we going to budget for that in the future? So if we prioritize that, you want that Tonka toy, well, let's save for it. Let's see how we're going to get there. And I think families that actually have conversations about money, it probably, as long as they're not too negative, I think it helps people get comfortable with the idea, as opposed to there's certain families that money's taboo. To ask your dad how much he makes is just not anything you would do. And I think that just kind of makes the subject of money taboo. So you don't want to talk about it. Maybe it's evil. And the other thing is when families get into probably a bad scenario where they're hiding certain things from their significant others, such as you go off to a clothing store or toy store and you say, hey, this can be our secret. We're not going to tell mom about this. We're not going to tell dad about this. Probably not the best thing, because you're just teaching them, that, again, money is kind of evil. So we want to teach the abundance mentality, where you're saying, hey, you've got a toy. Well, let's see how we're going to get it. And then the reason they're getting the toy is because you were smart with your money, as opposed to just saying they can't have it. And the reason why they can't have it is because of money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Kind of flip the script on that a little bit.
Yeah. Saying we can't afford it.
Think about that?
Kind of a cop out, just saying we can't afford it. And maybe that's true, sometimes. But I like what you're saying, especially about the communicating abundance mentality. And to me, abundance mentality means being generous. And I think there's a whole lot to learn there. It's a whole nother podcast. But one of the things, before I hand it off to what's your name again, Ben? We calling you Bitcoin Jesus
Cowbell?
today. We calling you Cowbell. Before I hand it off to Cowbell, one of the things I've tried this with my 15-year-old daughter, because when we see clients and talk to them and just friends and family, sometimes their parents did it right. They did a good job or the best they could. But if it's not communicated, there are misunderstandings. So not only is it important to behave well as an example to your children, but you have to tell your children how you're behaving to make it clear, because there will be misunderstandings. You're talking about a young kid looking at something that they don't understand, and they're going to learn lessons from that, whether you like it or not. So I just wanted to expound on what you said, Rob. It's super important. But Cowbell, what do you think?
Yeah, I think going back to what Rob was saying, that kind of teaches more financial independence as well, which is what you're going to face when you go out on your own. Is, okay, all of a sudden I'm not getting any support from anybody. How am I going to manage my finances? And personally, I had a lot. I had support going through school, but once I graduated, once I got my job after school, it was like, well, here you are. You're on your own. You have to budget. You have to set your goals. If you want to buy something, you maybe can't buy it right when you want to. And sometimes that can be a really difficult transition. And starting to create that mentality of abundance, and hey, if you want something, you're going to have to work for it, or you're going to have to save or set it as a goal. I think starting that as early as possible is going to be really huge. I think we've talked about this. You want the best for your kids. You want them to maybe be in a better position than you were at their age. But sometimes there are lessons that need to be learned, and the only way to learn them is to let them do it themselves. And so you may even be able to afford the toys that they're wanting, but sometimes it maybe is better to just say, hey, let's figure out how you can buy this yourself. And not only that, but at the end of the day, you feel better about yourself. You've accomplished something. You've worked and saved and gotten the thing that you want. That's a really valuable lesson when you're a young adult.
Yeah, I think there's a key distinction there. When you're talking abundance mentality, it's just the way you're going about your life. That money isn't something that is so limited that you can't do certain things. It's more, hey, we can use money to our advantage, and how do we do that? It's not what I think a lot of parents have gotten into the habit of, and I'm certain I'm probably guilty of it myself, is just handing my kid whatever they want at certain times, and that's not helpful either. I don't think just giving them whatever they want. Obviously they get spoiled and they don't understand the meaning of money.
Yeah.
Charlie, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think this podcast is fun because we're talking to young adults that are just getting started out of college. We're talking to parents of young kids like we have, Rob, and we're talking to Ben's age group as well on maybe even some things on what accounts to invest in. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. But it's a funny story real quick with my, I can't remember how old my daughter was. I don't know, 8, 9, 10. I would give her like $5 and said, you can have these $5 and let's go to Walmart and, take her to the toy section. And honey, you can buy whatever you want. Because I wanted her to make these choices for trade-offs, Well, you can have this, but you could also have this. And just, thinking about that. So you probably know already what I'm going to get at. And that's when I gave her $5, she came back to me after 20 minutes. Was like, Dad, I can't buy anything. There's nothing to buy with $5. I was like, okay, sorry. I guess I'm a little out of touch here. I know about that. So, but just some practical stuff as far as savings. We talked about saving early. Parents, you can start a custodial Roth. We'll talk about the nuts and bolts of that in a minute. You can start a UTMA, or sometimes they're called UGMAs. We'll talk about the pros and cons in a minute as well. We could do a whole podcast on each one of those. But another technique is to match your child's savings. Hey, you save $100, I'll match you $100. That's training for future savings and 401ks and such. Somebody told me one time, they said, we give our kids allowances or pay them for chores, and we encourage them to save 10%, to give away 10% to something that they find meaningful, and then do the rest with whatever they want. That's a pretty good little habit pattern, and kind of, like you said, Rob teaches the abundance mentality and things. So I think that's a really good technique as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of backing up a little bit, when you very first start with your kids, being tangible or using tangible money, using cold, hard cash is helpful.
Yeah.
When they can see the value of a dollar and they can see it coming in, and you pay them for whatever work they did, and they see it going out when they buy whatever it is they want, that helps them get an understanding of, oh, okay, I worked for this, I got this amount of money, and it's going out. Eventually, they're going to graduate, right? They're going to graduate to apps, and of course, with all the technology these days, they're going to have debit cards or credit cards or whatever they're going to use, and they're going to have an app on their phone that can tie to that. And even then, be as tangible as you can be, right, with them. So, like for my son, we have a Capital One 360 high yield savings account for him, and we'll get into that a little bit. I think it's too much fun. I geek out about it, but I think when I pay him for doing an extra job around the house, he does certain chores just because he's part of the family. He doesn't get paid for that. He can go above and beyond and do other chores that he gets paid for. So when he does those, I actually slide, and there's a slide to transfer on your iPhone when you're in the Capital One 360 account, and you just slide it, and it shows it going into his account, and you can actually look and say, okay, the money's transferred from my account, and now your account's up $10 or $20 or whatever it is. And I think just kind of having that account where you can see that, I'm losing the word here, but tangible.
Tangible, there you go.
The best one. Yeah. Where you can actually feel it, see it, touch it, and they see, okay, yeah, that's in my account now. As opposed to you just give them an open-ended account and all of a sudden they're out of money.
Yeah, my parents tried to teach me how to balance a checkbook, and I don't think since then I have ever used to balance a checkbook because everything's on the app. I mean, anyway, that's just kind of didn't really help me at all.
Yeah, right.
What I liked about what you said, Rob, when you pay your children allowance, there's stuff they should be doing because they're part of the family. Cleaning the room, picking up after themselves, whatever. Hey, you're part of this unit. However, if you want to do something extra, like polish my shoes or something. No, not polish my shoes. Mow the grass or whatever, then yeah, that's an allowance. So we talked about saving, how to help your children get started on that. Spending plans, and Ben, you mentioned setting goals and saving for them. Teaching that delayed gratification, which is huge, which I don't think any of us have anymore. But what we call this in the nerd world of financial planning is bringing these future expenses into the present. And that applies to all of us, by the way. Today, I was working on my spending plan for the next quarter, and I had to put on there a new car. Probably not a new car, but a used car. And I haven't had a car payment in a long time, and it's going to hurt. But we just recently lost a car, which is another story for another day, but it's painful. I had to put it in there, and it's painful. I got to face the music, but bring those expenses that are 1, 2, 3 years out. Bring them in. Plan for them right now. Yeah, absolutely.
First thing, just for the spending plan thing. First big purchase after I started my first job, I went out and bought a MacBook, literally with my first paycheck, and then I had the rest of the month where then I realized, oh crap, I didn't now I have no more money left for groceries. I really did. And so then
It's
I
worth
had
it.
to
Totally
call.
worth it though.
It was it was worth it. Yeah. And then I had to call my parents and, can you send me like $100 for some groceries?
Yep.
And they're like, what happened? I'm like, nothing.
MacBook.
Nothing.
Apple. Apple happened.
Nothing at all. I would never do such a thing,
Just
Ben.
living.
Never-
As we're talking about that budgeting, I do think one of the things we should touch on here is automating it.
Yeah.
Right. If you can, and there's two sides to that coin. Obviously, if you automate, the payments going in, they don't see it, and they just get used to money coming in if they don't see that it's tied to the work. But when you automate it, when they, as far as their savings and investing, it can make it a lot easier.
Another technique is when I don't know what age is appropriate, maybe 12, when they can first start understanding stock ownership. As we're driving down the road, I would talk to my daughter, hey, you can own part of Walmart. Hey, we go to Disney. You can own part of it. And what are you talking about? So then you go, hey, I'm going to buy you a piece of a stock. You can actually buy single stock, stockpile.com. We should get paid for all of our advertising today, by the way, but stockpile.com.
No free ads.
Print out a certificate and frame it, put it on their wall and say, you own a piece of Disney. But that's great learning. Now, once you learn that lesson, then tell them we don't want to own just one company, though. We want to own hundreds. Talk about mutual funds, ETFs, etc. But the lesson of ownership is good. Just be careful. Don't make a bunch of speculators out of your children at age 15.
Just gonna say, I need a piece of paper like that for my Bitcoin, so that it makes me feel like I own something.
Wait
real.
a second. Wait a second. Time out. I thought you had coins. You don't have coins?
Oh man, here
Bitcoins?
now we'll talk off on this one.
There's
Charlie,
no actual coin.
the recording, but
Okay.
I hate to break it to you, there's nothing there.
Son of a gun.
Oh, this is
If there is, I can't find it.
Yep, we're going to
That's a
have
great
another
segue.
podcast on the Bitcoin.
Another one? Well, they should just go
gosh.
look at, what was it?
You can't have-
Flight 7?
Yeah.
I think it was
Check
Flight
out
7.
Flight 7.
Yeah.
Flight 7.
So
Bitcoin Jesus.
Bitcoin Jesus.
There he
That's
is.
I called.
You called
the
it. You
peak
called
in the
something?
bottom. Yeah.
so. Let's talk.
Hey, speaking of the peak and the bottom, should we do that little graph, or save that for later?
Oh.
Which graph are you talking about?
Oh, the
The
little
game.
game. The little
Yeah,
game.
so-
when trying to time
That's
the market.
right. So that was one of the lessons here for all of us, but especially as a young person starting out. It's not about timing the market, and this was our first point of compound interest. Einstein said it's the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. So it's not about timing, getting in, getting out of the market. It's about putting your money in there, saving it, and then investing wisely, of course, but not trying to run for the hills when things get scary. So we've got a little game we're going to play on for our YouTube folks here. And this is personalfinanceclub.com. You can Google timing the stock market game, and several of these will pop up. So here's what we're going to do.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
And if you can,
That's
if
right.
you can time the market, if you can beat this, beat us,
Yeah, we're going to give
Send
them.
it in.
If you can beat this game, then send it in and let us know that it's possible. So here's
I'll
what
give
we're
you
going
one
to do.
bin coin.
One Ben coin. We're going to hit play, and then Ben is going to try to time the market. So we don't know. It's going to be 10 years of the market, and it's going to go up and it's going to go down. We don't know which 10 years,
Right.
but Ben's going to.
Got this.
What's your strategy, Ben? Are you going to sell high and try to sell high and buy low? Because sometimes the market gets too high, it's overvalued, and you
Yeah.
just want to sell, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
If it goes up too much, I'm definitely going to sell.
Okay.
I don't want to just sit there while it's going.
Okay,
down.
that sounds good. So then we're going to compare Ben's results with a buy and hold strategy for that 10 years. So, okay,
All right.
Ben. Now, remember, it's going to start off, the
got this.
first thing you got to do is you're going to be buying right off the bat. So if you want me to sell, you got to
Okay.
say it pretty quick. So here we
You
go.
got to say it pretty quick.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So the market is going.
Oh wow, it just jumped up 10%.
It's going up like crazy.
40%. Oh, sell.
That's right. That's pretty high. That's
Okay.
scary. Uh-oh.
All right, that's scary. Oh
Uh-oh.
no,
No.
It's going
it's
high.
still going.
It's going
Still
high.
going up.
All right. Oh,
Tell me when
still
to back.
going up. Should I buy? Oh no. Buy.
Okay, we're going back in the market. Ben
I got to go back in.
Couldn't
This is going
stand
way
it.
too high.
couldn't stand it.
All right. Now I'm definitely waiting. Okay, it's going down a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, sell.
Sell. Okay, that's scary. You're right. That's very
right.
scary.
All right. Buy.
Buy back in.
I'm getting. It's about to. I have a feeling right now.
Yep.
As soon as it's about to spike. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. It's
You're
struggling.
You're
right
in the
now.
market.
How much longer we got?
You're in the
I'm
market.
in.
Yeah.
All right. Sell.
Sell?
No. Am I? Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I sold.
All right. Now, buy. Yep. That's going. I think it's about to go.
It's very
gonna
scary.
skyrocket.
Man, this is. Come on. I need some help here.
Hey, I
I'm
get you
gonna-
the 200-day moving average right here. Did you not use that?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I didn't even realize that's what that was.
Yeah, you could have used the.
So how'd I do?
Well, I mean,
I think I.
I
feel like
look
I
at
did
this
pretty
graph. I'm
good.
like, man, you
Terrible.
did terrible. I was going to try to find something positive, but you did terrible. So your investment grew from October 21, 1996 to 2006. Hey, that was a tough
These are
time.
real market.
I was
These
looking
are
at
real
this.
market.
Real market.
I was looking at this
Okay.
time frame going, goodness, that's like 2 or 3
Yeah.
years. That's the beginning of my investment. Rob, you're 2, right? We're the same age, right?
Yep,
Right?
yep.
That's the beginning of our investment life right there. It was terrible. Anyway, so
Dang,
Ben,
that
let's see how you did. From October 96 to October 2006, your investment grew, your $10,000 investment grew to $17,000 almost, while a buy and hold strategy netted $22,200 or thereabouts.
Oh my
You
gosh.
lost $5,260, versus the market. Annualized.
You're
the-
telling me. Oh my.
yeah, you did terrible.
I messed
The
up.
market grew 8.3% per year. Your investments, Ben, grew 5.4% per year because you got a little scared sometimes and you thought the market was
did.
overvalued. And I thought you were going to nail it because I was like, oh, you sold and and the market's going down but you just don't know.
I think I missed the buy.
Yeah.
The buy side.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's so funny because that's exactly, even though you didn't have any news,
Yeah.
News media in your ear, Ben,
Yeah.
or any pandemics or anything, you still obviously underperformed, but throw
Yeah.
that in the mix. And that's exactly what you see with
crazy.
a lot of investors who don't have the discipline and
Yeah. I mean,
or
that-
a buddy with them.
well, that first couple years it went up, so it was up like 20-30%, and so I was like, "There's no way it could keep going at that pace." And then,
Yeah.
sure enough, as soon as I
Keeps
sold
going.
it, kept going up like double.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Great.
okay, well,
All right.
Great.
All right. Nice work,
good
Ben.
job.
that's humbled me. That's humbled me.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit because it's so important to talk about what you mentioned earlier, Rob. How do parents save for their children and kids, or young adults? How do they save? We've had a lot of parents lately go, "I want to get my kids started off on the right foot. What's the best way to do it? What's the best account?" And I'll open it up to you all
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
I've got the 3 ways kind of that we've talked about here. You've got, of course, joint bank accounts that you can do, just like you have with your spouse. There, you've got your custodial accounts, which is the UTMA, which we'll get into, and then you have kind of just the first salvo, I guess, is the prepaid debit card. If you just want to go out, get a debit card that you just fund whenever your child runs out of money. That's one way to do it. That's probably the first option. People who aren't comfortable opening up a bank account or custodial account.
Yep. Ben, what do you think?
I wish I'd got to do earlier, and just like we should with the compound interest, is actually get to save and invest. I mean, my first account was just a custodial savings account at the bank, and or a joint account, and that was a great place to start saving my money. But I think really I would love to have gotten investing earlier, and like we saw in that buy and hold and saving for the long term. And the way to do that, I know we've talked about it, the custodial UTMA accounts, but also the custodial Roth IRA. Charlie, I think you're actually going through that right now for your daughter.
Yeah. I printed out the application and had some other parents asking me about it because, Rob, you nailed a couple of great strategies for just savings and spending, and we could even get into how to start credit for your kids, but I think that's probably easy to put off until 18, early 20s maybe. But as far as investing and saving, if you want to start that for your kids, I did just like what you said, Rob. I took my daughter's. That sounds terrible. I took her Christmas money. I mean, how do I say this? In fact, I've got a reputation. All the
I helped her
families.
with her
Yeah, there we
Christmas
go. I helped her. I
with
helped her.
Christmas
Thank
money.
you. I was really struggling there because everybody in my family is like, do not give your birthday money to your dad. Okay. But my daughter did part with some birthday and Christmas money, and I invested it for her in a joint brokerage account. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take equivalent cash and start her a custodial Roth. Now, custodial anything UTMAs, UTMAs, UGMAs, custodial Roth becomes the property of the child at the age of majority, which is either 18 or 21, depending on the state. So it's going to become your kids. So just get over that part, whereas a 529 doesn't ever have to become the property of your child. So there's some flexibility there. But in this case, we want our kids to have this. I want my daughter to have her birthday money, Christmas money back. I'm finally going to give it back to her. And yes, it has multiplied. Thank you very much. A couple times.
Well, we'll see if you give it back to her. I don't know.
Up until September of this year.
You can put it in there yet.
Anyway, so I'm going to do a custodial Roth. Now, here's a couple nuts and bolts about the custodial Roth. How young can you do this? Schwab, that's who we're working with. I printed out the application. I called them. I said, hey, is there an age limit? Nope, no age limit. Now, your custodian, sorry for using the same type of language. Let me clarify that. Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, whoever, they are not going to be the police of your custodial Roth. They do not care how old your kid is for them, as far as, especially Schwab, I know that for sure. They're not going to ask. I mean, you're going to put it on the application, but they're not the police of that. They're just going to open the custodial account, and they're going to do it. Now, here's the rules. Your child has to make money. So
that's what I was just about to say, Charlie. So
yeah.
I am the police on this.
So yeah, you're the police. So now your child.
So you're not taking any birthday money and putting it in.
No.
Taking money she's earned.
Yeah, she has to earn money. So my daughter. So yeah, thanks for that clarification, Rob. Because what I was actually doing was breaking the rules. My daughter does earn money, so she can contribute now to a Roth, and any child can earn money. Here's the sticky wicket. How do I prove if I get audited? Does my child have to file a tax return? Do they have to get a W-2? What if they're mowing grass? They're not going to get a W-2. So if they work for a restaurant, they're going to get a W-2. If they work for someone else, they might get a 1099. If they don't, then just have records of that income. Create a log, make notes of it, show bank accounts or receipts or deposits or something. Because your child, even though they make money, they may not have to file the tax return depending on how much they make. So those are the nuts and bolts of the custodial Roth. The limit is right now $6,000 for a child. They have to you can put 100% of their income in it, so they can only put $6,000 in it if they make $6,000. Does that make sense so far? Am I on track here?
Yeah.
If they only make $3,000, they can't put in $6,000. They can only put in $3,000.
Correct.
Earned income.
Awesome. Yeah. So the last thing I'll say on just savings accounts is the UTMAs are pretty good. But I think depending on the tax laws and things like that, sometimes they lose some of their advantages. So, but they're okay. I mean, they're all right. I'm not a huge fan. Personally, I'd rather do the Roth, but everybody's circumstances are a little different. So that's
so
just.
I've got my personal. I'm just going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree.
Do it
there, Charlie.
I'll edit it out.
So we got a UTMA. And I think it's important to get in the UTMAs a little bit for some clients that are maybe a little bit higher net worth, and it's a Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. It expounds upon the UGMA, which was a little bit older. It's Uniform Gift to Minors Act, where that I think was only securities. The UTMA can be money, real estate, fine art, all of that if the account allows it, obviously. But that's covered under the act, and in your example of the birthday money, I love UTMAs for that example because that expands on the gift act, right? So if there's a gift, that's where you can put that. That's a great place for a gift and to get it invested in the market or whatever you want to do with it. But that's obviously what we most of the time advise for longer term assets. You're going to invest in the market, and the UTMA does that. Fidelity, Schwab, I'm sure almost everyone does that. So that's kind of where we get into the difference between if it's earned income, then a Roth IRA for the kid is great. If it's not earned income, then maybe a UTMA works for you.
That's a great point.
What do you got on that?
No, that's a great point, and I like the point you made too about watching out for if you think you might get some student aid, then those are going to count against you. That's why the 529 is really powerful because it doesn't do that. But Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, and you can give $15,000 a year right now without filing a gift tax return. So if you were going to give money away, that's just something to keep in mind. The UTMA, I think that for the majority of states, I believe it is 21 when the custodialship ends.
Yeah, it's for Colorado and Tennessee, at least it is.
Yeah. So, and we've experienced this with some of our clients, as soon as they turn that age, well, that money's theirs.
That's a good point. And I think it's important to kind of define some of these terms. So if you give them money, or if you're a parent and you give your kid some money that's going to go into a UTMA, you are the donor. You can name a custodian. Usually it's still the parent that's a custodian. And you have a fiduciary duty. We've talked all about fiduciaries. If you've heard any of our other podcasts, you have a fiduciary duty to your kid in that scenario. So you have to do what's best for them in managing that investment, which means you can't take any of it. Do whatever.
That's right. You can't invest in meme stocks.
Right.
Well, I guess you could. But.
And the good part of that UTMA, though, as far as tax-wise, is when it does become theirs, say at 21, who is then out on their own, is they're taxed on any kind of capital gains on that. They're taxed at their rate, not on their parents' rate. Yep. If I'm saying that correctly.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yep. Taxes and UTMAs is not an easy subject. It confounds me continuously.
Yeah. The other part I think that's important about Roth IRAs is all the advantages. We've talked about Roth IRAs, and we maybe do another podcast on that. Let us know. Hit me up at Robert at leadingedgeplanning.com. But the Roth IRAs are in a retirement account. However, when you contribute money to them, you can always take that money out because you've already been taxed on it without any penalties, any fees, any taxes. So you can take out your contribution amount, and that's an important distinction. So some people might say, "Oh, Roth IRA, well, my kid's 10, he doesn't get to see that till he's 59 and a half." Well, if something happens and he needs it, he can take out the amount he's contributed. Now, not the part he has earned or it's made, right? Not the part that is compounding in gains. Thank you, Ben. Not the gains.
That's what the kids call it these days. Gains.
Yeah, not the gains. If you take out the gains, then you're penalized and taxed on the gain. So, anyways, I think that's a great thing that a lot of people don't understand is, oh, well, they can actually, if they need to buy a car or whatever, they can access how much they've contributed. Now, is that wise? That may not be wise, but they could do it.
It's like an emergency fund. Emergency. Super emergency.
And don't buy a new car.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't buy.
And we're coming up on the end here. But what final thoughts? Ben, you've got some techniques as a young guy, newer investor. You've got something that you're passionate about. I think you were talking about you liked about new cars or something.
Oh man, yeah, I love buying. I see these fancy Mercedes, and I'm more of a truck guy. We were admiring a nice Dodge truck the other day. I'm like, man, I need that. Oh, it's $120,000. Never mind. But no,
the Raptor killer.
The T-Rex. Yeah, that thing's awesome. I'm sure it's always been this way, but we see social media. We see our friends with maybe nice cars. We see the people that we look up to with nice cars, it's really easy to fall into a trap of obviously wanting that. You go to a dealership to get a new car, and they're going to talk you into, instead of maybe buying this used car, why don't you just pay monthly and you can get this nice new car and take out a loan for it. And so I would just say, it's not always the best idea just to go and buy a new car. It is a wealth killer. Is that what we put on the sheet there, Charlie? But so that's one of the things. Don't fall into that temptation. Don't feel like you need to keep up with anybody. Number two, I would say is, I'm currently renting property instead of I don't own a home right now, and I think that's perfectly fine. If you look at some of the math, we can get into it, the pros and cons, but don't feel like you need to go and just buy a house when you graduate or right as you're out in the workforce. It may not actually be throwing away money renting, which we hear a lot. And then the last one, I know we talked about automating your savings, but when you're setting a budget, just take 10, 20, 30 minutes to set a budget. You don't have to stick to it, by penny, but make sure you have at least a savings goal. You can do it on an app. You can do it right now. Take out your phone and set a savings. I have it transferring money into my savings account every few days. It just transfers money into there. And that has helped me tremendously with saving. I don't like to look at my account statements very often. I don't like to look at what I'm spending my money on, which is not necessarily a great thing, but I have it budgeted out where I know I'm meeting my savings goals and I'm able to buy the things that I need by doing that. So that has been really helpful to me. Those are the things I'm passionate about.
Well put.
I love it.
Well put.
I'll get off my pedestal.
Well said.
Drop the mic.
My soapbox. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh,
Don't drop
sorry
that.
for
That's
your ears.
expensive. Rob, what do you got, man? What are some?
No, that's all I got, really.
I think you nailed it.
We've talked quite a bit of stuff.
did.
We talked mentality, the use of money, tangible use, the savings, the automation, the 3 different ways, the joint custodial and prepaid debit card, UTMAs, and obviously Roth IRAs. Charlie, what do you got? Anything to wrap it up?
Boy, this is a good one. I just love what Ben said. Set goals that are important to you, not somebody else. We see so many people with this FOMO, right?
Yeah.
And they're missing out. They feel like they're missing out, but it's like, take the time as a young person to go, what do I want? And go after that. If you don't ever do that, then you're going to be constantly trying to meet a goal or benchmark that's moving on you constantly. And you will drive yourself crazy. I hope that makes sense to people. A lot of people say it's know your values. That's a little bit vague and maybe a platitude of sorts, but know what's important to you and then write it down and then set those goals, because it's the old keeping up with the Joneses. And we just see so many people through the whole life chasing this unattainable money goal. And then sometimes they get it. And guess what? They're disappointed because it wasn't what they really wanted all along. So know what you want, know what's important to you, and go for that. That's it.
I love that. That's such a good point. He made me think of one more thing that I find important right now. We're in Tennessee. Just recently passed the Sports Gambling Act. I don't know what it's called, but you can now gamble on sports legally, and it's very tempting. You can do it through an app on your phone, and it tells you it has pretty graphics and everything that pop up when you win, and they say you can win tons of money and. Every day they say yes. And I think it's the same with some of the Robinhood stuff that you see on commercials. I saw a Coinbase commercial the other day, and it's like, you go and buy Dogecoin. It was literally a thing about Dogecoin and how it was started as a joke, but you can go and invest in it on Coinbase. And so I would just say, stick to have your long-term money that you're saving, and don't try and gamble it away on literally gambling or these meme stocks trying to win it all on following people on Reddit or in these Twitter groups or whatever it is. That will cause more stress in the long run. Most likely you're going to lose money. You're not going to be able to beat the market. I'm an expert investor, as we all know, and I just lost to the game. So, that proves it right there. You can't beat the market. No, but I really think, like, as a young person, especially, creating those habits and not falling into this trap of trying to gamble your money away and really invest. Investing is not gambling, and really learning about that and sticking to that. So,
I love it. Nice.
All right. That's it. That's all I got.
I've got the 2 quotes to wrap it up. We're not a fan of everything Dave Ramsey says, but this one I am. You've got to tell your money what to do, or it will leave, Dave Ramsey. If we command our wealth, we shall be rich and free. If our wealth commands us, we are poor indeed. It's by Edmund Burke. We've arrived at our final destination. Let us be the first to welcome you to the end of Flight 18. Thank you for joining us here at the Pilot Money Guys podcast. If you liked what you heard, please hit that subscribe button and leave a review so we can reach more people. If you have any questions, or you'd like to anything answered on the show, shoot us an email, info@leadingedgeplanning.com or robert@leadingedgeplanning.com. And as Emerson said, the world makes way for those who know where they are going, so plan accordingly. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Pilot Money Guys podcast. It has been our pleasure to share some information with you today. Give us a call to discuss absolutely any investment question you may have. Click on the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit leadingedgeplanning.com to learn more. Take care. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Leading Edge Financial Planning, LLC. Leading Edge Financial Planning, LLC, Leading Edge, is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Leading Edge and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and should not be relied on as such. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or an offer to sell a security. It does not take into account any investor's particular investment objectives, strategies, tax status, or investment horizon. You should consult your attorney or tax advisor. The views expressed in this commentary are subject to change based on market and other conditions. These documents may contain certain statements that may be deemed forward-thinking statements. Please note that any such statements are not guarantees of any future performance, and actual results or developments may differ materially from those projected. Any projections, market outlooks, or estimates are based upon certain assumptions and should not be construed as indicative of actual events that will occur. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.